I'm standing in the goal. I feel my weight shift onto my toes and my hands open as I watch a player on the opposing team tap the ball around the last defender on my team 20 yards away and sprint towards me. I can see she's hungry for a ball and for a goal, and in this moment I realize I am the only thing left standing in her way. Adrenaline sears my skin, and I know I have no choice but to come out. But part of me is petrified. This isn't unusual. It's a situation soccer goalies refer to as deciding whether or not to come out. Normally, we have three choices here. The first is to stay hesitantly on my line. The second is to hesitantly come out. These options pretty much always lead to a goal. The only successful decision I can make is to confidently come out of my goal and put my body in between the player with the ball and the goal. I should also clarify, this is the most terrifying option, because in these moments, I am the most vulnerable. Once you decide to come out and put yourself in harm's way, there is no going back. You have to commit. But the thing is, when you make yourself vulnerable and you're successful, you feel infinite. Over the last 8 years of being a goalie, the last 4 of which I played on a full scholarship for Utah State University's Division I soccer program, I have been faced with this choice to come out time and time again. I'm used to the intensity of making this split-second decision. In fact, doing so has become second nature, because the amount of time I've trained for this sport since the start of freshman year equates to a full-time job while also being a full-time student. Soccer at the Division I level requires an incredible amount of physical and emotional strength in order to survive. And that strength becomes more necessary when you are the last player on the field, which is where I find myself as my opponent is sprinting right at me. I feel fear flush my face and every part of me flexes, but I have no choice anymore. I will not let her score. So, I choose to move forward, to be strong, and even though I have no idea the outcome, I come out. When I came out to my mom as gay, I really had no idea how she was going to respond. It was over the phone a month before I turned 21, and my body shook in the driver's seat of my car as I sat in a parking lot somewhere between Logan and Salt Lake City. She was out of town, so I texted her earlier that day asking her when she'd be free to talk. I told her it was urgent, but not to worry. I had, to my utter surprise, made it to the second round of a national slam poetry competition, and the only way to make it to the finals was to receive the largest amount of public votes. My poem, in one brief line, outed me. I had already told a handful of people in the last 20 hours and needed to tell my mom within the next 4 before the poem was required to go online. This was not something I wanted her to find out from Facebook. Driving from Logan to Salt Lake City, I was a one-woman pride parade as I came out over and over to the people I love most and felt should hear it from me directly. As I came out to my mom, I'd committed to talking about this secret I'd kept since I was 8. She could barely understand me through my tear-filled gasps. It was the most terrifying moment in my life, because what if this meant I'd failed her? When I came out to my mom, I wasn't thinking about soccer or the confidence I'd gained being a goalie. I wasn't thinking about how many times I'd been scored on and how each time I had to overcome failure to make sure it didn't happen again. But what I did know when I came out to my mom was that I was strong. As a soccer player, the field created a strength that continued off the field, especially highlighted by the fact that once I made a save, the game wasn't over. I always had to put the ball back in play, knowing that as soon as the ball was released from my hands, I was just as vulnerable as I was the moment before I made the save. The only time you feel safe is when the ball is between your palms. The only time I felt safe was when nobody knew I was gay. But in both cases, that safety, it's artificial. It's momentary. It feels safe, like you're in control, but that safety, it can never last. You always have to make yourself vulnerable again. Now, the ball I put back in play no longer includes identifying myself as a soccer player. In finishing my Division I career, I've lost part of my identity. I'm the most vulnerable I've ever been. But I realized something. It was never about the response, whether or not I stopped the goal or how people reacted to me being gay. Instead, it was always about being strong enough to make the vulnerable decision in the first place, regardless of response. And I think if we can do that, if we can confidently commit to vulnerability, that even if we feel petrified, at the end of the day, we will all feel infinite. Thank you.